Hi guys, how is everybody? I've come and do another video on this beautiful journal. I've had so much fun making this. It's kind of themed around gothic, grungy, unusual and spooky, and it's all like thrown in like horror, not horror as in off horror movies, but like kind of horror kind of theme going on. And it's quite a chunky journal. It's 3 signatures. I've yet to put something in this plate. I'm still thinking what I can put. So if anyone's got any ideas once they've watched the video, comment below and let me know what I could put in here. So the whole journal, I've used like a fabric which is a bit like cheesecloth but a bit more thicker, which is this. So I've used that first, and then I've used quite a lot of scrap vintage music paper, vintage 1911 newspaper, which I've just all ripped up. This is from the Tim Holtz. It's a bit like tracing paper, so I've kind of used different pieces of that, and then I've just grunged everything up to make it look old and dirty. And then this is the fabric that I used before I put all this on. And then on the spine I've just put a key and like a picture frame. I've kept it simple because there is quite a lot of stuff on the inside. And then the clasps, I've made it bigger so it can extend. And then I've just used some keys and then a skull. And then this used to be a necklace, and I've used it. The lady said that she didn't want like a lot of lace, so I've kept it to a minimal, but I have added the odd bit of lace in, but it's black, and I've kept it less girly. So yeah, and I've had so much fun making this. I've done lots and lots of inking, and if I'm being honest, I have used a lot of my Tim Holtz inks, so I'm running out of that at the moment. So just going to show you, it's got a little hook here and it just comes off like that. So this, I've not really used a lot of kits in this journal. I have used one type of kit which was for an Edgar Allan Poe kit, but it wasn't a kit, it was like an opening door, which I will explain as we go further into the journal. And that was by Raiders of the Lost Art, and that's like one of the only kits I've used. A lot of the papers I've tea dyed, used acrylic paints to give like a ink black effect, like it looks like ink is splattered all over the pages. And then I've just done lots of stenciling and doing a lot of embossing. So I'll get straight in. And I've kept the theme throughout. Again, I've used just try and keep the journaling frame. I've used, again, same as the front cover, just used all my old vintage papers. So the first page, this I used, I think it was gel medium. I think it's called gel medium, I'm not so sure. And I stenciled, and it dries like a clear plasticky. And then I've just completely covered it in different types of inks. And then this is the first page, and then we've got some journaling cards, and then these are real stamps, vintage stamps, and then you can just undo the envelope and it comes down, and then you can journal on there. I know the lady said that she wanted this book just to keep and just to look in. I don't think she wanted to journal in it, but I wanted just to keep it how I make them. Even though she didn't want to journal in it, I have still used the journaling cards and things, so I didn't want to leave blank pages and things like that. So we've got these really creepy, spooky images. And then I've put a cross upside down because in a lot of horror films and a lot of possessed people, you know, they turn the cross upside down, and then I just put this from Tim Holtz, Hidden by the Shadows, because they're all hiding and I just thought it was appropriate. And then this is like a large envelope what I've made, if you can just see. And then inside I've added another spooky image, and then just tea-dyed paper, and I've embossed it, used different types of acrylic. Oh no, actually I used a real fountain pen and splashed it on to give it that effect of ink. And then I've just used Tim Holtz to distress it. And then this is like a large, you can add more things inside it, so which I made. And then we've got vintage music paper. And then this is a collage, and just to give it that much more of an effect, I've got a pen and just scribbled on their eyes, just to give it a bit of a spooky effect. And then just some more pieces to journal on. And then this is a paper clip. And then I did a collage upside down. Sorry about the lighting. So I've used an image off Pinterest, and then I've done some decoupage, and then done some embossing, inking and stamping. And it's like an old index card, so you can write on the back of that. And there's a fella. And then I used some pages out of an architectural book, is it not? Oh, I don't know. And they're castles, so I thought that was quite appropriate for the theme. This is kind of like a vellum shimmery paper and some more embossing. I do like this kind of emboss, it's like a shiny black. And then I just used some of my scraps of fabrics and added a vintage button on, which I've done throughout the journal. And then this is just a good piece to be able to journal on. I could stick a picture on there. And then this is the Mr. Edgar Allan Poe. He is a famous poet. And he did The Raven, so I added him in. And then on this page I've teared out some vintage music paper, put white gesso over the top of it, and then I've inked and stamped, and then just added another collage with scraps and this lady from Tim Holtz, and then just some journaling cards in there. And then just some nice place to journal or stick photographs. And this was off an old violin music book, and this paper was wrapped in it, and it had all this writing on it, so I thought it was pretty cool to leave. This is a letter from someone who's passed away. It is genuine. I just thought it would look quite good. Well, not good, but quite well with the theme. And it is original and dated there. And then again, done the same with the eyes, just to give it that spooky effect. Journaling cards. And then at the top, this little tag what I've added with an eyelet. And this is the centre of the signature, and these are like spooky trees and the lines, so perfect again for journaling. And then I've just used some fabric and stitched it on ruffled. And then this is an image off Pinterest, and I was trying to make up like a little story in my head. Like, this is some kind of woman who's on a psychiatric ward. Obviously this isn't a true story, just making up as I've been going along, and this was obviously her before she turned like a psycho. And then these are like institute forms, what they fill out when they first go in. So I was kind of like trying to make little stories up to add to the theme, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And I'm rambling on. Like a case file, should I say. And then the same again, I've stripped music paper up and gone over it with gesso just to give it a texture, and writing over white gesso is quite a cool thing. I do enjoy writing over white gesso. And then embossed it. And then this is cool because it just turns around, and if you've got one of them white gel pens, you can write on the raven and then journal underneath that. And then this is an actual vintage postcard, and I just thought it looked kind of unusual to fit in this journal. I twisted it round there. And then just a really random Victorian image. I know when they were taking images, they used to try and black the parents out, and obviously they've taken the lady's head off. And again, just done some more stamping, and then just having some random for interest, and again just acrylic paints. And then this is the poem from Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven. I think this is one of his most famous poems, so I added that on there. And then it just folds out, and then I just stuck a raven sticker on. And then this is part of the kit from Raiders of the Lost Art, what I was telling you about. So you can journal on there, and there's just a few, I think these are stickers, so you can stick them in the journal. So I've put them in there, and then we turn it round, and I added some Tim Holtz things, and then a creepy doll, another postcard, and that flips, and then you can journal on here. And I've just done some more inking and some embossing, and then this you can journal on. Again, just some more collage, and I got these off Pinterest with A Wonderful Creature, which is by Tim Holtz, the stickers. And again, I've just used acrylics to give that effect. And that's the end of the first signature. And it's quite 3D as well. So on this one, it used to be a necklace, and I thought it looked quite gothic, so I added that, and then just been using some scraps to make a button and just a skeleton charm. And this is Tim Holtz paper. And then again another creepy image, and I've just realised this is an actual tuck pocket, so if I just get one of my cards and stuck something in like that, just leave that in. Again, more inking and stamping. And then this is just some scrap paper that I've had left over, and it's got a tree on it. Another spooky image and skeletons. Oh dear. So I've been working on this journal for I think it's 2 weeks, and I've really enjoyed making these unusual things. I've got the vintage moon, and then this is a vintage postcard. Can't quite make out what it says, but with it having a castle on and the moon, it looked kind of creepy, so I did that. And then just a envelope to put ephemera bits in. And then again another pocket, and then this is another vintage postcard, another journaling card, and then just a sample pot, just some scrap paper I've not used, and a feather, a black feather. And then this is Edgar Allan Poe, and again making a story up in my head. This is his mum, but it's not in real life, if you get me. I'm just trying to make twists and turns in my journal. And then I've used some pretty, what's it called? I used quite a lot of this for some of the pages, and they give a bit of a shimmer. And then I just added some cheesecloth. And another freaky picture with a really weird puppet. And then this is good for journaling in, or I thought it was quite good to add pictures in. And then that just ties. I'll do that after. And then I've used some kind of lace, and I've ruffled it. Oops, I've got a page stuck. And again, this is another Allan Poe, another card, and then this just flips out, and you can journal on that. And I can't get it in. There we go. And then just some more castles. And again, I've done the same with the eyes, just to make it look freaky. And then this is Franklin paper. A lot of people who are crafters just stick random scraps together and then just go over it over the sewing machine, like Frankenstein. That's why they call it Franklin paper. Actually, this is a kit, what I've not said. I think this was from one of my witch kits, and I cannot think of the person now. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot which kit this was from. And then just journaling cards, some random ephemera, witches, and then this can be journaled on here. And this is actually out of a really old vintage book. When you get books, in the first page they have these on them. And then I just came up with the idea of using the holes and just putting some ribbon in it and just embossing the bottom. And then there's just some goodies in there what I've not used up. Just some bits and pieces. And then there's a little secret pocket here, and then this is just tea dye paper that can be journaled on. A little secret pocket there. And then we have a little pocket here, and again another really weird image. And then inside there's just some random leftover papers from making the journal. And this is like a bit like a boot mat. This is from the graphics fairy. And then just an image of a lady dressed as a bat. We've got a raven, and then I've just added some of this cool black sequined ribbon that I have. And then this is ink splattered, just to give it an effect. And then just some random journaling cards. And then this is a little diary what I made out of just scrap papers. Just lots of random offcuts. A journaling book. And I'll start that out after. And then another paper clip what I made, and then this the same again, just got an image off Pinterest, used some embossing and ink and stamping, and I've added some cheesecloth. And then just some leftover images. And that's the second signature. This is the third signature. Again, this is just music paper, and then I've used white gesso, ink tape, stamp tape. Again, leftover scraps of fabrics that I've got, just made it look a bit gothic-y. And just took this random image on. And then this is from one of the vintage violin books. It was wrapped in this paper. Some journaling cards, vellum. I love the feel of vellum. And then this is just off a really old vintage sewing kit. It's the paper what you get when you draw in clothes and stuff, when you make your own clothes. So I just added that in. And then we've got this lovely image of a woman dressed up as a bat. And then I've added this cool feather with a kabancha, can't even say it, of a lady. And we've got a little pocket here, and it just flips out, and you can journal on there and on the back, and it's like a little secret pocket. And I can't get it in. No, why are things so fiddly when you're on camera? Ugh. Done it. And then there's some pages which I've stitched together, and then there's a big pocket at the top, and I've just printed out just some random images.